Dear Enchanted One, welcome to Be Enchanted, a podcast by the Academy of the Enchanted Arts. I'm Georgie, a creatrix, modern-day enchantress, and founder of this sanctuary for hearts devoted to the arts, beauty, and wonder. Brimming with mythology, inspiration, stories, dreams, the arts, and seasonal enchantments, this podcast is for wondrous souls who seek an illuminated portal for enchanted living. Here, learning is a sacred invitation, a quiet remembering of the wonder that has always lived within you. May each episode guide you back to the truth of your own enchantment. Dear Enchanted One, welcome back to Be Enchanted. I'm Georgie, and in today's episode, I'm inviting you to join me behind the scenes as I unveil the vision behind Take Me to the Lakes, a deeply poetic and intentional retreat nestled in the Lake District in England. So this is not just simply an announcement, it is a love letter, a devotional call to the wanderers, the artists, the seekers, to those who yearn not for escape, but for exquisite re-arrival. In this sacred offering, I want to share with you the deeper philosophy that guides every thread of this retreat, why I created it, what it means, and how it was born from a longing, my longing, and perhaps yours too, to reimagine the way we retreat, not as a break from life, but as a pilgrimage into it. So let me begin, as always, with story. Take Me to the Lakes was born not from a business plan, but from the heart. I had been journeying through a season of deep inner winter. One of those quiet, soul-thickening chapters where everything is gestating beneath the surface. I'm sure you know the kind. A time of inner questioning. How do I wish to gather? What is my capacity? Where do I belong? Am I happy with the harvest of my life at this moment? And what does true rest look like for me? Not just the kind the world applauds, but the kind my creative soul actually craves. And woven within that quiet, a deeper truth emerged, one that has slowly, softly shaped the rhythm of my days. As my scleroderma progressed, and with it the complications of something called dysphagia, I found myself retreating from the expansive and outward and returning to the quiet sanctuaries that have always held me. I no longer felt the call to roam far and wide. Instead, I began to listen more closely to the call of the land beneath my feet, to the familiar rain-softened hills and mirror-like waters of my childhood. As a girl of the northwest of England, the Lake District was never just a landscape for me. It was a lifeblood, a place of sanctuary, of poetry, of memory. And in this season of stillness, I returned to it not just as a visitor, but as a pilgrim. I joined the lineage of creatives from the Wordsworths to Ruskin to Beatrix Potter, and even modern-day muses like Taylor Swift, who have found their refuge and their re-enchantment in these ancient whispering hills. Here, the land just knows how to cradle the weary. It has done so for centuries. And in these sacred surrounds, I ask not what I should do, but how I wish to be. And always, I heard the same reply. Take me to the lakes. Take me to the beauty. Take me to the poetry. Take me to the soul of a place. Not for a luxury escape, but for a remembering. And so this is what Take Me to the Lakes is. It is a retreat designed not just to soothe, but to awaken. Rooted in the sacred arts and inspired by the mythology, folklore, and artistic legacy of the Lake District, this retreat is a gentle weaving together of literature, art, music, nature, and myth. A call to come home to your creative self. In many ways, this retreat is an ode to the Romantics, to the way they walked, wept, and wandered through the hills and wildflower-strewn lakes. But it's also a reclamation and a reimagining. The Romantics were not simply poets of pretty prose. They were rebels of the soul. They turned their backs on industrial noise and found salvation in birdsong. They left behind the smog of cities for the clear breath of the fells. William Wordsworth, John Keats, and the kindred spirits didn't just visit the Lake District, they escaped into it. They became the heartbeat of a new kind of poetry, one tethered to nature, sensation, and the sanctity of solitude. For many it was deemed eccentric, but for them, and for all of those who followed the same thread, it was a return to truth. And so too for Taylor Swift, who centuries later would echo this very pilgrimage. Speaking about her song, The Lakes, Taylor revealed that it was a testament to what she longed to escape from, and where she envisaged herself escaping to. In a conversation with her collaborator Jack Antonoff, she described how she could feel the pull of the poets who had come before her, and the way they sought refuge in the Lake District and turned their yearning into verse. She imagined a cottage with wisteria curling up its walls, and she understood with marrow-deep clarity why they left the world behind and made art instead, why they kept writing, and why they refused to subscribe to what was killing them. The Lakes is her homage to this poetic lineage and to the quiet rebellion of creativity that dares to bloom in stillness. It is, in its own way, a folk song of remembrance, the very essence of what she would later capture in folklore. And so, dear heart, this retreat is not just about the romantics. It is for you, for your life, your story, and your enchantment. It is for the one who is exhausted by overconsumption and ready for creation. It is for the one whose body is calling for rhythm, ritual, and remembrance. And it's for the one whose creativity is aching to be tended to like a sacred hearth. Each day of the retreat is crafted as a soft ritual in itself. We'll root ourselves at Lanehead, a Georgian house with a soul all its own. Once the home of the Collingwood family, close companions of Ruskin, this warm and storied sanctuary nestled between Coniston Water and the wild embrace of the fells holds a special place in literary history. It was here that a young Arthur Ransom found a second family and the inspiration for Swallows and Amazons, his love letter to freedom, adventure, and childhood imagination. So at Lanehead, the spirit of creative play still lingers in the air, and you'll be welcomed as though stepping into a novel all of your own. From our haven at Lanehead, we'll step inside stories that have long shaped the soul of the lakes. So in Grasmere, we'll visit the hallowed hush of Dove Cottage, where Dorothy and William Wordsworth once wove poetry from the mists and mountains. Here, you'll have ample time to wander freely, to write, to breathe deeply in a village where the soul of romanticism still rests in the air. We'll then gather at Rydal Mount, a home still lovingly held by the Wordsworth family. In that sacred setting, we'll share a private afternoon just for us of poetry readings, a guided tour of the house, and a gentle feast of wine, juice, and the iconic Grasmere gingerbread, as though we too were guests of William and Mary Wordsworth, gathered beneath the wisteria. Another day invites us into the world of Beatrix Potter at Hilltop Cottage, where Herdwick's sheep still graze in the green meadows she so tenderly protected. With every footstep and sketch will honour her devotion to land, law, and the creatures who still dance through her illustrated tales. And then to Brantwood, the enthralling home of John Ruskin, where the vistas speak of visionaries and reformers who stirred both the artistic and spiritual imagination of Britain. As dusk falls over Coniston, we'll then be serenaded by a string quartet performing Taylor Swift's music by candlelight, which is a poetic crescendo to a day filled with beauty and reverence. And between these pilgrimages, you'll be lovingly held in a rhythm of soul-restoring offerings such as sacred lectures on the lives and legacies of these remarkable creatives we meet, gentle invitations to reflect or create, and spacious intervals to simply dream, drift, or just do nothing at all. And most of all, there will be space, the sacred space, to just simply be in stillness, to be in beauty, and to be enchanted again. As I write in the Substack piece and blog post that I'll link in the show notes below, this retreat is not just a creative getaway, it is a threshold, a liminal passage into a softer, slower, more soul-led way of being. It is not about performing your artistry, it's actually more about living it. So, if your heart is whispering yes, if your soul is yearning for sacred pause, and if you're ready to move through a season not with hustle but with honour, I would be so deeply honoured to welcome you. Places are intentionally limited, so if your soul feels called, I encourage you to follow that whisper. I have placed an accessible and extended payment plan in place for all bookings before March 2026 to help ensure that this sacred space remains open to all who are meant to walk through its doors. You can choose from a serene single occupancy room for deep retreat and reflection, or a double room to share with kindred spirits or cherished friends. All details and the booking link are loving waiting for you in the show notes below. Thank you so deeply for walking this path with me today, for listening with your whole heart and for dreaming with me. And maybe, just maybe, I'll see you at the lakes, because not without you, my muse, as the song you all know goes. This retreat is already so soul-rich and tenderly imagined, but it will be even more perfect because of you. So, until the next time, may you always remember you were born to be enchanted. Thank you so deeply for listening to my podcast, To Be Enchanted. If this episode stirred your heart, I would be so grateful if you shared a review on Apple or Spotify, or passed it along to kindred spirits who too feel the call of enchantment. To explore the full curriculum at the Academy of the Enchanted Arts and to continue this devotion to the arts and wonderment, you are warmly invited to visit learn.academyoftheenchantedarts.com. Until we meet again, may you live your days as a beautiful act of becoming. And remember always, you were born to be enchanted.